I'm here today to talk to you about child sexual abuse. But most importantly, I'm here to talk to you about prevention, primary prevention. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I believe in my heart of hearts, that we can prevent child sexual abuse. Now, I started working as an educator, and I'm a certified facilitator and trainer on child sexual abuse prevention. And I started this work about 9 years ago with my twin sister. And we founded the nonprofit Blátt, áfram in Iceland. But the idea came to us on our healing journey, that when it became clear to us that if someone had given us, when we were children, the words, the language to tell someone what was happening in our house, in our home. See, we were abused by our stepfather starting from the ages of 4 until we were young adolescents. And it caused us tremendous suffering. But the good news, we reached out, we broke the silence and found help. And about 10 years into the recovery process, that became our mission. Wow. If we could take our experience and turn it into something good and help others, give other people insight into the world that we lived in, but most importantly, how we can prevent it from happening in the first place. Now we know, and I know from experience, that the greatest hurdles in preventing child sexual abuse is fear and denial. Now, just when I shared a little bit about my past, I wonder how it made you feel. Did it register in your heart, in your stomach, in your shoulders? See, this is your personal gauge for how open you are to seeing what's really, really happening out there. So I want to challenge you while we're here together, that you pay close attention to how you feel, but you breathe into that space and let it go, and open your heart and your mind for some new information. Because we are all connected. And when one of us is hurting, all of us are hurting. So before we go further, I'd like to talk a little bit about what prevention is. We're doing a really good job of rescuing, intervening, and helping survivors. But what about preventing it? So I'm going to tell you a very short story. Once upon a time, there was a fisherman. On his day off, he went to his favorite spot on the river. He cast out to the river, where he knew all the big fish was, and he caught one. Very excited, happy to be on his day off. And then he stood, kept going. After just a few minutes, he heard a scream, someone wailing out for help. Please help me. He looked up the river, and there he saw a person coming floating down the river. He threw down his gear and out into the river, and he rescued this poor person. Made sure he was okay, and he sent him off on his way. And he went back to fishing. Cast back out there, a few more minutes. Another scream, another person, throwing about their hands, barely keeping their head above water, asking for help. Of course, he went right back in there, rescued him, brought him back to shore. After a few more incidents like this, the man stopped. Wait, I can't keep going on like this, right? I have to walk up this stream, along this river, and see why are these people falling into the river. There must be a reason. And I'm going to find out and get some help to keep and make sure these people don't fall into it in the first place. And that's our job as adults, to get educated, to take that fear, okay, recognize it, but do whatever you can to get past it, because we need your help to build those bridges, to keep up those fences, so those children don't continue to fall into the river. And they can't do it without us. Now, what is child sexual abuse in terms of statistics? We're talking about 1 out of every 4 girls, 1 out of every 6 boys. And if you belong to a big family, put those faces on the children that you know. Because given the statistics, we know someone who is either being abused or has been abused. And chances are we also know someone who is abusing children. So these are hard facts to take in. But we're going to continue this walk up the river, right? You're with me, right? Because we know it's important. It could be scary what we find up there, but we're going to do it anyways. So what is it? What is child sexual abuse? We often, as adults, we think about sexual assault. And we're like, no, I don't have to worry. No one I know would be assaulting people, and that wouldn't happen in my safe circles or my family. But I was abused, like I shared, as a child, by someone that I loved and trusted, someone that had authority and power over me, who had groomed my family into trusting him. So sexual abuse happens between 2 individuals, often adults and a child, but very often 2 children, more stronger or powerful, or a teenager, where one has more power over the other. And this causes long-term effects. This could be one incident, or there could be many. That happens over and over a long period of time. So if this is the case, how come we don't see it? Why is it so hidden? Okay, maybe some of it is our fear, right? When we're afraid, what happens? We shut down. We don't listen to our intuition. And I just want to say, I believe that we all want to do something. We just don't know what to do. And when we're afraid and don't know what to do, we do nothing. So, consequences. Here you see the spectrum. We know that sex trafficking, human sex trafficking, is a huge global issue. I put it up here as a consequence because it started with the abuse. Someone overstepped those boundaries for that child, groomed that child, broke their spirit, their faith in themselves, and that they could ask for help. They turned to drug, alcohol, self-harming behavior, and they think that all their value is their bodies, right? Sex. As a little girl, as I grew up, for me, sex and love. Very, very confusing. So again, we have to keep in mind, not all of us end up on the far end, but many of us are here on the spectrum. So when we see bad behavior, kids that are stuck, teenagers, drinking, drugs, there's something that they're being challenged with and they don't know how to ask for help. And this is one of the reasons why we don't talk about this. We don't know any monsters. in my good organization, there are no monsters. I mean, when I brought a lot of these materials to Iceland in 2004, people looked at me and said, "Oh, you're so American. This doesn't happen here. It's such a good country. We protect our children. We don't need to worry." And I know we know better. You only have to read through the newspapers and some of the headlines recently. But again, because this is happening way closer to home than we realize, and for some of us are willing to look. But again, I'm challenging you, hopefully giving you enough information today to find your courage. Because the fear is normal. It's a normal human reaction to something unfathomable. So we need to take a deep breath. Yes, I'm going to do this. Because when one of us is hurting, all of us are hurting. And we're going to do what it takes. So where are these offenders? Where are they? What roles do they serve in our communities and around children? Because they go out of their way to seem trustworthy, to gain access. And a hard point for parents is that we unknowingly give access to our children. Because they groom us first. They first become our best friend, our favorite teacher, the coach who brings out the best in your child in that sport. And then our children watch our interaction with these adults, and we disarm them. Because the kids know, Mom and Dad are never going to believe me. So 30 to 40% are someone that's very close to the child. Another 40% is someone that works with the child in some circle of influence. And again, at this point, a lot of people say, well, this is very upsetting. You're telling me to trust no one. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm asking you to separate the behavior, the inappropriate behavior, the grooming. What you need to become educated about is that how they groom us as adults, how they find their way into important positions in our community that they don't get questioned. That's what I want you to be looking out for, not who the person is, because he is someone's husband, father, son, or mother. I need you to separate those two and teach your child that red circle is their space, their private space, and no one can enter that without their permission. And we need to teach our children as parents about their bodies, their private parts, the difference between good and bad secrets, and that they can say no to anyone who wants to enter their space, even their parents. And your children need to hear those words coming out of your mouth. You have to give your children the language. Because what words are they going to use to tell you? And then they will also notice how you feel about that conversation. I have 3 kids. It's not always easy. It makes me uncomfortable too, but I do it anyways. My kids feel my heart. They know I'm doing it because I care. And it's served them well. And organizations, as a community, we here as an adults, we need to understand that the unintended consequences of providing services to children is that someone who wants to use your organization to gain access to those kids will want to work for you. So if you don't ask questions of people that you hire, if you don't train them, if you don't monitor them, you got your blinders on. And you're not providing the services that you really do want to provide, which is safety for those kids, right? We're here to help children, to give them access to what they deserve. Again, to be willing to look Because we will not catch our offenders abusing our kids, but we will catch them break the rules. They will push the envelope. How far can I go? And that's where you need to already have your plan. You know what you've agreed to. And if anyone, no matter who he is or who she is, oversteps that boundary and breaks that rule, there will be a consequence, not a knee-jerk reaction. No, that's just couldn't have happened. We're not going to go there. So to wrap it up, I was just planting a seed, hopefully gave you some insight into the power of prevention. And we want to empower any community, any country who wants to bring the knowledge and the experience that we've gained here over the last 9 years in Iceland. We can provide and help you provide primary prevention and secondary prevention to help you educate adults, teenagers, and children. And just to leave you with a thought, does it work? What kind of results have we gained? There's a lot of information on this slide, but I think it says it all. Reporting is up 40% in Iceland. We've done a really good job of getting into talking to teachers, those who work with our kids, the ones that needed to be empowered, to be prepared, to when those kids are in front of them. They needed to be able to see what was really going on. And it's happening. We know that kids are disclosing. But the next step is in your hands. We're trying to reach parents. And we need your help to gain access to the communities and the organizations where we know there are parents that are looking for this information. And we are here to help. Thank you.